You know, there are some stories in the world of business that are just wild. And this is one of them. We're going to talk about the incredible rise and the even more incredible fall of a company that pretty much everyone thought was completely untouchable, Nokia.
Okay, just look at this number for a second. 40%. That is a huge figure. It just screams dominance, right? But what are we actually talking about here?
Well, back in 2007, that was Nokia's piece of the pie, their slice of the entire global mobile phone market. I mean, think about that. 4 out of every 10 phones sold anywhere in the world was a Nokia. They weren't just leading the market, they were bigger than their closest rivals put together. For all intents and purposes, they were the market.
All right, so how on earth does a company get that big in the first place? Well, the crazy part about this story is that Nokia didn't even start with phones. Not even close, actually.
Yeah, check this out. We're talking about a company that started as a paper mill way back in the 1800s. And from there, they got into, well, everything. Rubber boots, cables, you name it. And that's what makes this whole thing so ironic, right? This company was built on constantly reinventing itself. So when they finally focused on telecommunications in the late 90s, boom! They shot straight to the top and became the undisputed king.
And why did everybody love them so much? I mean, we all did, right? It's because their phones just worked. They delivered on this simple, powerful promise. They were tough, the jokes we all do, about the indestructible Nokia 3310 that could survive literally anything. And they were affordable, which meant they put a cell phone into millions and millions of hands for the very first time. Nokia wasn't just another brand, it was the standard for what a phone was supposed to be.
But here's the thing about technology. Being on top is a slippery slope. Dominance can vanish in a heartbeat. And in 2007, the world as Nokia knew it was about to change. The ground started to shake, and they didn't really feel it at first.
And this is why. In 2007, Steve Jobs walks out on that famous stage and shows the world the very first iPhone. You have to understand, he didn't just show off a new phone. He basically introduced an entirely new thing, a computer for your pocket. It completely flipped the script on what a phone could be. And the craziest part? At first, Nokia wasn't worried.
And this slide right here shows you exactly why they were so calm. See, Nokia was busy winning what we can call the old war, a war all about hardware. Their whole game was making the physical phone tougher, making it cheaper, making the battery last longer. But Apple didn't show up to fight that war. They started a new war, a software war. And all of a sudden, it wasn't about the plastic and the buttons, it was about what you could do with the thing. It was about the apps, the ecosystem, and that revolutionary touchscreen.
Because Nokia's biggest problem wasn't something you could drop on the floor and test. It wasn't their legendary hardware. Nope. The fatal flaw, it was buried deep inside, in the code.
So the whole fight shifted. It was now about the operating system. You had Nokia's Symbian, which, sure, was on tons of phones, but it was a real headache for developers to build cool apps for. Then you have Apple's iOS, designed from the ground up for that slick App Store experience. And then, of course, Google's Android, which was open for any company to use. Nokia was basically left holding the bag with this clunky old system right at the exact moment that apps became the most important thing a phone could have.
And that's really the heart of it. It's like the rules of the game changed from chess to poker. Overnight. And Nokia, with all their money and all their brilliant engineers, they were the world's best chess player, sitting at a poker table. They were perfectly built to win a game that nobody was playing anymore.
So you have to ask, why? Why didn't they just adapt? I mean, these guys weren't dumb. They had some of the smartest engineers on the planet. They saw what was happening. And the answer is kind of heartbreaking. It wasn't that they couldn't see the future. It's that they were afraid of it.
And this, to me, is the most tragic part of the whole story. Nokia wasn't blind. They weren't ignorant. They were just afraid. That's what executives who were there have said. It was fear that paralyzed them.
What were they afraid of? Well, they were afraid of messing up a good thing. They were making so much money. A huge change to a new software? Well, that could tick off their current customers, maybe even shrink that 40% market share. So what did they do? Instead of making a big, scary bet on the future, they played it safe to protect what they had right now. And in the tech world, playing it safe is probably the most dangerous thing you can do.
And that paralysis, that fear of making a bold move, well, it could only end one way for a company that just wouldn't evolve.
And boom. Just like that, it was over. In 2013,
Get this, only 6 years after the iPhone came out, the mighty Nokia phone business was sold off to Microsoft. Think about that journey. From 40% of the entire world market to being sold for parts. The collapse was just unbelievably fast and unbelievably complete.
Okay, so what's the takeaway here? What can we all learn from this incredible story? Because this isn't really just about phones, is it? It's a much bigger lesson. It's a lesson about success itself.
And I think this quote just nails it. Success can make you blind. When you're on top of the world, it is so easy to start believing that you'll be there forever, that your way is the only way that works.
So let's break down the big lessons from Nokia's fall. First off, market leadership is always temporary. No lead is permanent. Second, you have got to be willing to disrupt your own business before someone else does it for you. Third, the ecosystem, the software, can absolutely crush a company that only focuses on hardware. And finally, and this is a big one, technology rewards adaptation, not history. The market just doesn't care how great you used to be.
And this isn't just a business school lesson. This is for all of us. Think about your career, your finances, even just your own personal growth. The second you think, okay, I've made it, I can just coast now, that's the exact moment you start falling behind.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Nokia got way too comfortable, and the price they paid was, well, everything. So the question for you is, where in your own life or in your own work is comfort making you blind to what's coming next?